Howdy minions, goons, and soon-to-be servants of the Nimzy Nova Empire. The Switch 2 is out, and it's still way too early for a proper review for it, but I played a ton of Mario Kart World. So let's talk about the first-party exclusive for the Switch 2. It's actually kind of hard to review this, as at its base, it's still just Mario Kart. You know what it is, you know how it plays, but let's start with a breakdown of the main changes. What's different? The biggest difference between World and the other prior Mario Karts is the size of everything. The entire world and tracks and courses are significantly larger. There is a higher player limit of 24 players for better and worse, wider tracks, longer tracks, bigger character roster, more modes, more items, and more things you can do. The theme for this entry is just bigger and better. But is that necessarily true? Is it better? Well, kinda not. One of the big concerns players had for this entry was that by having courses that are wider and longer, is that the courses would be less twisty as consequence. By being less twisty, that means less fun to them. As someone who doesn't like racer games outside of Kirby Air Ride, I haven't had this much fun with a Mario Kart game since Double Dash. The big worlds result in longer stages, meaning there is more of a back and forth between players. You're going to constantly be on the edge as you're having to fight for your life more. More players means more chances of bullet bills, lightning, and blue shells. Even getting a massive lead can easily be struck down at any moment. I personally enjoy it quite a bit. The challenge here doesn't come from twists and turns, but rather the endurance of running a marathon and your fellow players. There are also new forms of movement to mix things up. Keep an eye out for rails to grind on and walls to ride. These bigger stages fit very nicely into the open world, giving it a natural feel for every course. Characters and karts. World has the biggest character roster of the series so far. There are 24 main characters, lots of minor characters, and each main character unlocks an additional 1 to 10 costumes. I wouldn't count the costumes as additional characters, but the character menu lists each one separately, so I guess I will. I prefer if you were able to select a character then their costume, but they're all on the same menu. If you don't have things sorted, it can be very annoying to find a particular skin. It's actually hard to know for sure just how many characters are in this game, as not all of them are listed on the character menu. As for karts, we have a lot of variety but no customization outside the stickers. They all still have their own stats, and you'll definitely end up with a favorite. Unlocking everything is very easy. Mains are unlocked through playing through cups. You don't even need to take first. Getting secondary characters are all unlocked through being hit by Kamek's magic item, and it's random which one you get. Then unlocking costumes for mains involves eating the fast food power-ups that you find inside the stages at each Yoshi's restaurant. Karts are unlocked every 100 coins you collect at random. If you play every Grand Prix 3 times, you should have everything unlocked, so it is just a few hours of gameplay to unlock everything if you're being very intentional about it, until you get to the skins. The unlock system is also very natural and doesn't require any skill from the player. Literally anybody can unlock everything in this game, so you get a constant steady flow that keeps you engaged. These can also be unlocked in any mode aside from the main characters. But unlocking skins is an absolute snooze fest. Once you've finished all the races, you might find yourself getting bored. The Switch 2 doesn't have that many games out yet, so you're going to feel like you have to play this one to 100%. I recommend against doing that, because you're gonna get yourself very burnt out on the game. While you can technically get all the costumes through normal play, you're going to have to give in and play free roam and manually unlock the rest at some point. This is a boring and long process. You'll pick a character, go into free roam, go to Shy Guy Bazaar, eat the 5 foods that are there, then you'll go to Peach Stadium to get the donuts and cakes, then Boo Cinema for the popcorn, Moo Moo Farms for the dairy item, and finally Cheap Cheap Falls to get the Japanese food items. The checklist is shorter for the characters with less skins. The less skins a character has, the fewer items you need to look for. But characters like Mario, Luigi, and Peach all have like 8 or more skins. Many of them can only be unlocked with a specific food type. Even when using a guide, you can expect the process of unlocking every skin to take 3 or more hours, even if you're efficient about it. In total, there are over 100 characters and skins, and once you have 3 pages of baby characters and skins, you're going to wish the skins were selected in a different way. They should have made it so that you select a character, then their skins, and press a button while hovering over them. This skin unlocking process is probably the worst part of the game. It'd be better if the skins were more different, but the majority of characters all share the same kinds of skins, the same handful of skins. The worst part for me, though, is knowing that monster characters like Charge and Chucks are unlocked completely at random and you have no control over unlocking them. So even once I finish getting all of the skins, I'll have to keep racing and hope I get hit by the thing that I need and hope it randomly selects the one that I need. While it's technically easier to unlock things, it's not fun to seek them out. Grand Prix. This is the main race mode and you'll play through every cup at least once. Each cup consists of 4 courses, and after placing top 3, on the first 7 cups, you'll unlock the special cup. Then you'll have every course unlocked. Each of the courses exist in the world of Mario Kart World and are interconnected in some way. This doesn't matter so much here, but it's cool because it sort of builds a world and universe within the game. These are like real locations that matter and have a story. Grand Prix comes in the usual 50, 100, and 150cc versions. There isn't much to say besides it's the mode you're most familiar with and you're probably going to play the most. There's an interesting mix of lap-based maps as well as long stretches of highways. The courses are all beautiful and highly detailed, and if you wanted to visit them in free roam, you can do that. You can just go drive to the location and see them. They exist within the world. So if you want to get a closer look at some stuff, you can. It's pretty neat from a lore standpoint at least, and some environments like the Japanese themed Cheap Cheap Falls are very neat up close. And you can drive outside of the main course, of course, so you can check out some other details that you missed up close. On one hand, I very much like these longer courses, but in the Grand Prix sense, I think that they are too long for a Grand Prix. I think they should have gone with shorter, smaller maps for the Grand Prix mode, but that would have required them changing how these maps are set up greatly, and I can see why they just stuck with long, wide courses for everything. Knockout Tour. This is an elimination-based game mode with a focus on endurance play. Once again, there are 8 cups with 3cc modes, but in each cup is 6 maps that are all interconnected to each other in one big strip, and you will play that strip from the beginning all the way to the end with no loading screens. Each course's exit eliminates the last 4 remaining players until the final 4 characters remain. It's a very fun and different mode, and the longer the race goes on for, the more skill-based it becomes. Since the bottom 4 is eliminated with each course, you're less and less likely of opponents getting clutch items like blue shells. By the time you're on the final 2 courses, you shouldn't see any blue shells at all. I like the mode, but like I said, it's about endurance, and it is a long haul. This mode is so good because different karts perform different depending on how far you are in. High acceleration karts, for example, will find a very early lead, but higher top speed cars do better in the latter half because you don't have to worry about recovering from shells as much. But this mode is a problem for players that aren't as good. If you have a friend who isn't very good at the game, they're going to get eliminated early, and that means that they're going to have to watch you play between the next 3 to 5 courses. That's not very fun for them. So I think you'll be playing mostly Grand Prix mode. On one hand, I do think the longer courses aren't very entertaining in the long run. It's more the back and forth between the players that I find interesting there, but Knockout Tour couldn't be done on smaller maps. It has to be these long maps for this to work, so I'm kind of torn. On one hand, the long maps are less fun than the older maps, but on the other hand, Knockout Tour only works because of the long maps, and I really like Knockout Tour. Time trials. This is your standard time trial mode. You'll race yourself on the map of your choice, trying to improve your time with each run. Versus race, this is your custom mode. You'll choose all sorts of special rules that aren't in the other modes. Battle mode, another custom mode. Here you try to pop other players' balloons or get the most coins, and like versus race, you have a bunch of rules that you can set. These last 3 modes are my least played, but with how unlocks work, after your first playthrough of all the Grand Prix, you can play anything you like and still unlock stuff. Free roam mode. This final mode is a bit of a controversial one. Some were speculating that it would be like GTA. It isn't. There isn't a way for you to even get off your cart, and I tried every button. Some were also worried that this would be the main focus of the game. It isn't. Free roam isn't even on the game mode's menu. You have to go all the way back to the main menu and then press plus. That doesn't mean that there isn't anything to do though. There are quests you can find in the world by hitting P switches. In one quest, I was collecting blue coins as fast as possible, and in another, I was trying to drive my cart into the back of a moving semi. Then I got to drive the semi at top speed, barreling through anything in my way. This mode also lets you explore all the maps in the world in their home locales. You can use this to see all the little details at your own leisure, or practice. If you want to unlock all the costumes easily, you can fast travel to get to the specific locations where regional foods are at. So if you want Birdo's sundress outfit, you can go to Cheap Cheap Falls and wait for some taiyaki or sushi to show up. Free roam mode also features a camera mode, which is great for content creators looking to get that next thumbnail, or artists who want to get a close-up of their favorite obsession. It features posing, expressions, frames, and more. This isn't a mode that I played much, but it's cool that it's an option. If you're waiting for friends to get on, but you don't have the time for a race, then free roam is the perfect option to kill time, while still unlocking stuff. You can also find secrets while exploring in free roam. There are panels that, if you can find them, will give you a sticker, but other than that, there isn't a real reason to go looking for them. Just another thing to check off your completionist list. But that's kind of it in terms of actual content for the game. To get the most value out of the game, you're going to want to get some friends together to play multiplayer or the online modes, which I did not play the online modes. Like I said in the beginning though, there isn't much to say about this. It is just Mario Kart. It's a Mario Kart with more of everything, and I do think that's pretty good. My only complaint is that one day I'd like to see a story mode or a campaign for the series, or maybe an RPG mode of some sort of single player thing outside of just the basic race modes. Nothing crazy, just a mode where I can customize my vehicle, race my stats, the kart stats, and race in different challenges and races with those upgrades. I don't want it to be the main mode, but it'd be a good long haul change of pace for those who are tired of the basic race modes. The new movement methods aren't revolutionary, and the larger maps are a bit more relaxed, but if you've been wanting something different to mix it up, there is a good bit of new here to dig through. I don't know if I should score it or not. I don't think it's worth $80 unless you're going to play this a lot in multiplayer or unless you really like Mario Kart. As a $50 pack-in title, it's a good deal. It is definitely not a system seller. I'd say 7 out of 10. We'll have to see what they do for future content updates. The world has already been designed, so outside of new characters, I don't know how they're going to add more stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye. Bye 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 bye.